You've been told to be nice, to be kind, to never be too much, to never need too much. You've been trained since you were a little girl to hide your edges, silence your longings, and apologize for the very power that makes you magnetic. And now you wonder why he pulls away the moment you let him in, why he ghosts you after you finally open your heart, why he stops chasing you the second you show him who you really are. What if I told you the problem isn't that you're too much for him, but that you're not enough for your own soul? Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Every woman has a secret moment of silence, a moment where she watches the phone, waiting for a message that never comes. A moment where she stares in the mirror, wondering what she did wrong. A moment where her body feels too loud, her emotions too messy, her longing too shameful. And in that moment, she makes a decision. Not out loud, but deep in her unconscious. A decision to shrink, to perform, to become pleasing. And yet the ache doesn't go away, because the feminine heart was not made to be pleasing. It was made to be devouring, to love so deeply it burns, to speak so truthfully it breaks spells, to stand so fully in her own gravity she bends reality around her. But here's the twist. The very power that makes you magnetic is the one you've been taught to fear, to suppress, to apologize for. You've been trained to believe that desire is dangerous, that truth is unattractive, that being too honest will push him away. And maybe it will. Because these truths aren't for every man. They're for the man who is ready to meet a woman who doesn't perform, who doesn't shrink, who doesn't betray herself to keep his attention. There are phrases you were never taught to say. Words so powerful they cut through the masks. Phrases so raw they stir something ancient in the masculine. Not because they manipulate, but because they reveal, they awaken. These phrases are not tricks, they are thresholds. Keys that unlock the archetypal dance between the conscious feminine and the unconscious masculine. And when you speak them, not from strategy, but from embodiment, everything changes. But we must go slow, because if you speak these phrases from your wounded child, they will backfire. If you speak them from hunger, they will collapse. If you speak them to get love, they will repel it. These are not words you say to win. They are words you say when you no longer need to. First, we must unlearn the good girl, the pleaser, the woman who makes herself digestible, hoping it will make her lovable. We must let her die, gently, but completely, and as she dies, something else is born. A voice, a truth, a gravity. Soon I will share with you the first forbidden phrase, but before that, you must understand the power you are about to hold, because once you speak it, you can never return to the woman you were before. Now we begin. The first forbidden phrase is this: I see through your mask, and I still want you. These words are a blade, a mirror, a magnet. They do what most women are too afraid to do. Name the invisible, see the hidden, and speak the unspeakable. Because every man, even the strongest, the most composed, the most unavailable, wears a mask, a performance, a costume of control, confidence, or aloofness. Underneath it, a boy, a fear, a shame too heavy to name. When you say these words, not with judgment but with presence, you speak directly to his unconscious. You bypass his ego and speak to the part of him that aches to be seen. And in that moment, if you are grounded in love, he won't just hear you, he will feel you, in his gut, in his bones, in the places no one has ever touched. But here's the truth. You can only say this if you've seen your mask too, if you've met your own shame, if you've faced your own darkness. Otherwise, it becomes manipulation, a tactic. And he will know, because no phrase works if it's spoken from fear. But when spoken from integration, it becomes a spell of remembrance, a call back to wholeness. And that is what men crave, even if they don't know it. To be seen without being shamed, to be loved without being diminished, to be known without being controlled. And the woman who can do that, she's not chasing, she's choosing. This phrase reaches into the hidden roots of a man's psyche, the part that never outgrew the fear of being unworthy. It whispers to his shadow, not to expose it, but to welcome it home. And because it is so rare, so profoundly disarming, it does not just catch his attention, it awakens something sacred, a sense of return, a recognition he can't name. You become the mirror that reflects not his strength but his wholeness, not his performance, but his humanity. And in that mirror, something ancient stirs, an archetypal memory of the lover who does not flinch at his darkness, of the feminine that does not punish the wound, but cradles it. This phrase, if spoken from embodiment, makes you unforgettable, because you become the rare presence who touches not his ego, but his essence. Now the second forbidden phrase, I trust myself enough to walk away even if I want to stay. This is the earthquake, the phrase that shakes the foundation of every man who has learned to test a woman's limits, who has learned that she will stay even when he withholds, who has learned that she will fold if he retreats. But not this time, not with you. These words are not a threat, they are a boundary, a line drawn in sacred ground. They say, I desire you, but I will not abandon myself to be desired. I choose you, but I choose myself first. And that is what makes them magnetic, because a woman who can leave is a woman worth staying for. It is not easy to say this. It is not soft. It is forged in the fires of every heartbreak you survived, every moment you begged for scraps of affection, every time you silenced your intuition to keep someone else's presence. This phrase carries the ghosts of your past and also the freedom from it. When you say this, a deep silence follows, a reckoning, because the man who hears it knows the game ends here. No more breadcrumbs, no more performance, no more cycles of push and pull. He either meets you in truth or he loses you to it. And here's the miracle. Sometimes that's the very phrase that wakes him up, not because you scared him, but because you reminded him of your worth, of your fire, of the woman who doesn't cling but calls. And men, real men, are drawn to that call like a moth to sacred flame. To speak this phrase, you must grieve. Grieve the times you stayed too long. Grieve the versions of you that begged, chased, performed. And in that grief, something stronger rises. Not coldness, not indifference, but sovereignty, fire, a spine made of truth. You don't say it to manipulate. You say it because it is true, and in that truth, the dynamic shifts. You are no longer asking to be loved. You are inviting him to rise, and if he can't, you walk. Not because you stopped loving, but because you finally started. Soon, the third phrase will come, and it will be the most dangerous of all. The one that ends the good girl forever, the one that brings the wild woman home. And now, the most dangerous phrase of all, I won't shrink so you can feel tall. This is not a sentence, it's a declaration, a spell breaker. The final severing of the contract you never consciously agreed to, but have honored your entire life. The contract that says, be less so he can feel more, be quiet so he can feel heard, be small so he can feel big. You did it to survive, you did it to be loved, but now it is killing your soul. This phrase is the death of the good girl archetype, the part of you who learned that approval was safety, that likability was love, and that radiance was dangerous. The girl who flinched every time she outshined a man, who learned to apologize for her intelligence, her passion, her depth. This girl is not wrong. She did what she had to do. But she must die for the woman to be born, because here is the truth you were never told. Your power is not the threat. Your shrinking is. Your silence is. Your pretending is. And when you say this phrase, you are not just speaking to the man in front of you. You are speaking to every man who ever asked you to be less. You are reclaiming every inch of space you once surrendered. And yes, it will trigger him, because the masculine has been conditioned to measure worth through comparison, to feel valuable only when he feels superior, not by choice, by programming, cultural, familial, ancestral. And when a woman refuses to shrink, he must confront the lie that his worth depends on her smallness. But if he is ready, truly ready, this phrase becomes the catalyst for his evolution. He sees that your light is not competition, it's invitation, that your bigness is not a threat, it's a mirror reflecting his potential, his truth, his soul. You say it softly, you say it fiercely, you say it when your body trembles with the memory of all the times you bit your tongue, folded your fire, and smiled through the ache. You say it even if your voice shakes, especially then, because the voice that shakes is the voice that awakens. When you stop shrinking, something ancient comes alive. The wild woman, the medicine woman, the high priestess, the queen. She does not apologize for her presence. She does not dim her fire to make others comfortable. She stands, she speaks, she shines. And yes, some men will leave. Let them. Let them. Run from the storm of your truth. Let them seek women who are still afraid to burn. Because you are not here to be chosen by the unready. You are here to remember who you are, and in that remembrance, you become the one who chooses. This phrase doesn't make him chase you like a game. It makes him respect you like a force of nature, because the woman who doesn't shrink, she becomes a mirror for his own expansion, his own fire, his own soul. And that, beloved, is the deepest seduction of all. Not manipulation, not tactics, but truth. Embodied, spoken, unapologetically alive. To refuse to shrink is not arrogance. It is sacred rebellion. It is the soul reclaiming the space it was always meant to fill. When you stop apologizing for your brilliance, your sensuality, your needs, you give other women permission to do the same. You become a lighthouse. But this path is not without grief. You will mourn the woman who kept herself small. You will feel the ache of all the times you said yes when you meant no, of all the times you dimmed your glow to keep the peace. Let yourself grieve her. She was doing her best, and then let her go. Let her go with compassion, with tenderness, with gratitude. She got you here, but she cannot come with you into this new life. This life where you do not betray yourself for belonging. Where your love is not a cage, but a flame, where your worth is not conditional, but eternal. The more you speak this phrase, the more your nervous system recalibrates. At first, it may feel foreign, dangerous, even selfish, but slowly it becomes natural, grounded, true. You begin to realize that your radiance was never the problem. It was the suppression of it that made you suffer. Some men will call it intimidating. Some will say you've changed. Let them. You are not here to be understandable. You are here to be unforgettable. This phrase is not just for men. It's for every moment you almost abandoned yourself to be chosen. Every job, every friend, every family system that taught you to shrink. When you say these words, you are speaking to all of them. You are drawing a line in the soul and saying, I will not disappear to be accepted. There is no going back after this. You will lose things, but what you gain is priceless. Self-respect, self-intimacy, soul alignment, the kind of life that makes your eyes light up when you wake. The kind of love that honors the full you, not just the palatable parts, and the man who can stand in front of your full fire and not flinch. That man is worth your time. This is what the feminine rising looks like. Not louder, but deeper. Not harder, but truer. You do not need to fight to be seen. You only need to stop hiding, so let yourself be too much. Let yourself be radiant. Let yourself take up space, because the woman who no longer shrinks becomes the woman the world cannot ignore. You no longer ask, how do I get him to stay? You ask, who do I become when I no longer betray myself to be loved? Because that is what these three phrases are. They are not scripts, they are spells. They awaken the archetype within you that no longer needs to chase, to perform, to please. They return you to the fire of your feminine soul. Let this be your integration. I see through your mask, and I still want you. I trust myself enough to walk away, even if I want to stay. I won't shrink so you can feel tall. Speak them only when your heart is clear, your body is grounded, and your soul is ready. And then, watch what happens, because when a woman stops chasing validation and starts embodying truth, she becomes the one who is chased, not by wounded boys, but by awakened men. This is not about men, it's about memory. Remembering the woman you were, before the world told you who to be, the woman who burns, who knows, who chooses. So now I ask you, which part of you still shrinks? Which phrase made your heart ache or your throat tighten? Tell me in the comments. Let your voice rise. And if this journey touched your soul, this channel is your sacred space. Subscribe, come as you are. Return to your power. The remembering has already begun.